Welcome to the CraveCast, everyone. I'm your host, Eric Mack, and I'm live from the day before the future. Joining me from a present day that is quickly colliding with a paramount past perception of the future is Crave's Amanda Kuzer. She's live in Albuquerque. And also from the CNET studios in San Francisco, we've got CNET's Sarah Mitroff, Jeff Sparkman, Caitlin Petrakovitz, and behind the controls, Stephen Biff Beecham.
Biff.
Hey, everyone. So it's the eve of Back to the Future Day, and we're ready to welcome any allegedly fictional time travelers into our midst. And if you're confused, Back to the Future Day is tomorrow, Wednesday, October 21st, 2015. That's the exact day that Marty McFly, vest in tow, and company found themselves in Hill Valley, transported to 2015 in the 1989 flick Back to the Future Part 2. So the actual date from the movie is tomorrow. We've literally been preparing for this event for, almost 2 years now. Amanda started writing posts about it a couple years ago, I think, if not over 2 decades of preparation, really. So on the show today, Caitlin is going to coach us on how to prepare for tomorrow, for the big day, and also give us a preview of a few of her reviews of the leading products of 2015 from the Back to the Future universe. And Amanda's also got some things to review of her own. I think she's actually got some Back to the Future swag on hand. I know I've got my glass of Pepsi Perfect right here. So maybe we'll give that another taste test. And then finally, we'll have the conversation that everyone is having this week about what the movie got right and what the movie got wrong. And we'll also talk about how we would create our own Back to the Future sequel if it were set 30 years from now, like 2045. So lots of fun. If you want to join in the conversation, we've got the YouTube and live stream chat rooms going. You can watch on livestream.com/cnet/thecravecast. There's dozens of people in that chat room already, and also on our YouTube page, which I think, Steven, they can get to at youtube.com/cnet, right?
Yes, we're on the front door of our YouTube channel, so just go to youtube.com/cnet, and you'll find us, yeah.
Awesome. And I'm also keeping an eye on the Crave Twitter feed, so if you want to tweet at us at Crave, you can get us that way as well. So maybe, Caitlin, why don't you kick things off? You wrote this great piece on how people can basically prepare for Back to the Future Day tomorrow. What are your tips to get ready?
Well, honestly, it's really a collection of, hey, here's what to watch, and here's what to know, and here's what to do. It also kind of touches a little bit on, like, things that we've seen so far that we have. So playing more into everything that you really, Amanda, and you have written about. So Pepsi Perfect, the recently we saw Jaws 19 actual trailer came out, which was pretty hilarious. And it talks a lot too about where you can watch and where you can get the entire trilogy, which is available today now. They have like all new bonus items and discs, and the Blu-ray version has all these special features and things. A lot of it is a lot of like repeating documentaries and stuff that we've actually already seen in other releases for the Blu-ray or the discs or whatever. And I think there's really only one quote-unquote all-new bonus disc with like a new short that features Doc Brown, things like restoring the DeLorean, and then a 2009 documentary about the making of the film and how it's totally impacted pop culture and our technology and things nowadays. So yeah.
Sounds cool.
Excellent. And so, Amanda, you had also, you like I said, you've been kind of keeping an eye on this for a couple of years now, and you've actually tried out a lot of the swag from the movie.
Yes.
You want to give us a rundown of your experiences and your preparations for the big day?
Well, I've got a couple items that come from HalloweenCostumes.com. They have a deal to make some officially licensed products. Well, of course, one of the most interesting has to be the shoes. So these light up.
Sweet.
But
Oh,
they don't
awesome.
self-lace. We're not there yet. Nike earlier in the year, one of the Nike designers said they were working on self-lacing shoes, but I don't know. We're kind of running out of time here. I'm still hoping those will appear, but these little numbers are, the light up part is probably the coolest factor about these. But they do look pretty good. They look pretty close to the screen ones. They don't have the Nike logo, but
So those are the replica ones, right? Not the
Yep.
Nike.
Yeah, these are the $100 roughly replicas. This is, I think, is the early version of the replica. I think they have done some upgrades to the current model that's available now. Those are pretty sweet. They charge up through USB, so I mean, you could charge your shoes by your computer. It's always kind of
That's
entertaining.
hilarious.
And of course, there's this number.
A hoverboard.
So jealous.
Yes. But Steven, you got to try an actual hoverboard, right?
Yeah, I got to ride the Hendo hoverboard at Arcs PAX in, I think it's Los Gatos, and it was pretty amazing experience. I mean, you have to be on a track, you have to be on a magnetic or a conductive surface to ride it. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, you go into a spin, like a 360 spin, you could just spin forever. Just keep going forever. There's no inertia, so nothing to stop you. But yeah, they actually Arcs PAX just announced that they're going to release like a more skateboard friendly version of the hoverboard tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
And they're having like a big event, and we're trying to get over there, but they said there's no room, or they're all booked up.
What?
So they're gonna let us see it like maybe next week or something. So keep your eyes out for that.
And now, Amanda, you wore those self-lacing Nikes around for a while at one point, right? What was the reaction like?
Well, I wore them for an entire week everywhere I went. I wore them to band practice. I wore them out to, hear music at a club at night. And inevitably, people would always ask, well, do they lace themselves? High recognition. I mean, there's a certain cool factor just to have light up shoes, kind of like the kids have, but for adults, which is that's really great. But when people recognize where they were from, I was always asked, well, do they lace? And I had to admit, well, no, but they glow, and that was pretty cool. So I did get a lot of reactions. I mean, at grocery store, a lot of just stares too. Not everybody actually had the guts to say anything to me about it, but I did get a lot of looks because I wore them lit up everywhere I went.
As you would do, so yeah.
I gotta tell you, I knew a guy who bought them when they went on sale. What was it, a few years ago, right? 4 years
The
ago,
Nike
5 years ago? The Nike ones that they actually sold. I knew a guy who bought them, and they were sleek.
Yeah.
They were amazing. They were, I mean, next ones are going to be self-lacing, we hope.
Well, I've heard rumors. So in preparation for this week and stuff I've been reading sneaker blogs, which are apparently a thing, you guys. There are people
They're a
who
huge
have
thing. Are
been
you
reading
kidding
them
me?
already.
about
Totally.
sneakers.
They are huge.
It's crazy. And so there are rumors and semi-confirmed, but not really confirmed, but hints from Nike and details from Nike that they're working on a new replica, a new version, possibly self-lace. I mean, the details are really cloudy, and I've actually heard rumors that it's going to happen tomorrow because, of course, it'd be on the anniversary. But, I mean,
Why wouldn't you capitalize
look
on
out for that, but, the
Who knows?
technology might be still pretty far away.
Well, and Caitlin, you're working on a piece for tomorrow for Back to the Future Day,
Yeah.
where you and some of our colleagues went through some of the products that are in the Back to the Future universe, but maybe didn't actually make it to our universe, and you reviewed them as if you were in the Back to the Future universe, right?
Yeah, so actually Sarah and I are working
Yep.
on kind of a compilation of what if the 2015 that Marty and Doc traveled to actually was our reality. So like what if Back to the Future was a documentary? And how would we review those products?
Yep. In that world, in that canon, meaning there's no internet.
Yeah.
There's probably no cell phones because the movie doesn't have really anything like what we have now.
Crazy to think about.
So how are people going to be reading your review?
By fax.
Oh.
Yeah, by fax, of course. Of course.
Naturally.
Or newspaper. The newspaper still exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
Might talk about alternate dimensions.
I mean, they also had those like hologram
Oh,
news
yeah.
cast center, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how we found out the Cubs win the World Series.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it'll just be
So-
in the town square popping up for everyone to
Yeah.
read.
In between ads for
Yeah.
Jaws 19.
Yeah. We should have just made a video of it. We could have been projected in hologram.
Oh, goodness. That would have been terrible.
But yeah, so we chose what 6 or 7 different products.
Yeah, we're still narrowing
and we're
it
kind
down.
of writing it as though it was in universe, in canon, and saying, well, here's what we liked about the self air drying adjustable jacket that Marty has,
Your jacket is now dry.
or the Black and Decker food hydrator.
hydrator, yeah, which
That's been a fun one
it's
to
still,
argue
I
about.
have
Still
that
quite.
right here.
Oh yes, so many arguments about how it works and what kind of
Oh, yeah,
food
here's
you
the
would get
food
out of it.
refrigerator.
Yeah, because I mean,
What would happen if you put like beef jerky in that?
See, we don't know. And my argument is like maybe in this version of the future you have a dehydrator, which people have now, and then this is the opposite of that. So maybe you dehydrate a sandwich you make and then take it with you to like work on Monday. I there's so many questions.
maybe it's like the new age version of the freezer. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
like it's some way you use.
It's like how we have like the pasta that they make and then we put in the microwave.
Yeah.
Oh,
We have a-
And you
yeah,
add like
yeah.
water.
Dehydrator.
Yeah,
You add something, you put it in the hydrator at work.
exactly.
And then there you go. Yeah.
Or
Or if
else you buy your packet of Pizza Hut
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
McDonald's hamburger.
Yeah, you
From
buy
the
the
store,
Costco
from the
size
company.
version
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
the little.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then you take that with you.
Can you imagine how this would impact Costco? There probably wouldn't be a Costco
Or
if we
there-
had a food hydrator.
Well, but oh god.
How would
Be
they
very
sell their
small.
hot
Would be
dogs?
a
Because you would
warehouse.
buy, right? You would buy already 20 pizzas from Pizza Hut at a
Sure.
time.
Or else you also make your own. So my argument is like maybe in this version of the future, you're also still making food from scratch. Like there are two camps of people: those who only eat out, and those who are people who actually make food. And then they make a steak and put it in their dehydrator, and then sometime later.
Yeah.
We don't know
Yeah.
how much this like affects the food preservation. And then there's so many
See,
questions.
so there's a lot that we're taking into consideration. Like, if you have a hydrator, what kind of pizza did that even make for them? So was it chewy? Was it crispy? Was it gummy?
Yeah.
Was it
like microwave pizza, because I'm like
Yeah.
staunchly anti-microwave pizza. So my argument is maybe this won't give you the same.
Sarah's a
texture.
serious pro crispy pizza eater. I am not about
I mean, that looked like a nice steamy
We
pizza.
had
when they
a
took
but
it
long
out.
discussion
steamy,
about
I don't
it.
know. Maybe it rehydrates the food and then cooks it to. There's so many questions.
Maybe
As
it
someone who loves
rehydrates it
food
with
and loves to
steam.
cook, I have so many questions I wouldn't answer.
So as you can see, we had Sarah write the mini review for the food hydrator.
because I have many opinions.
As the foodie, we chose her to do that one. Yeah. No, but we have those. We have the Holomax, so actually reviewing the movie technology, and then the what else?
Hoverboard.
The hoverboard,
Mattel
obviously.
hoverboard.
The Mattel hoverboard, the
there's other-
Nike Air Mag
Right,
shoes. Like we
exactly.
definitely reviewed those. But yeah, it should be fun. Like I said, 6 or 7, and we're gonna have that tomorrow as part of the big Back to the Future stuff.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I've got one product from the movie here that isn't really real, except that they made a few of them. I mentioned this earlier. So this is the Pepsi Perfect from the movie. And they gave out a limited amount of these at New York Comic Con, and then they sent a few to the nerdier reporters. Amanda, because she's in where our UPS center is and not at the outskirts like I do, got hers before me, and she got to do the taste test first.
As you can
So,
see,
I haven't-
she's tasted some of it.
Yeah. This is
Yeah,
flat
I haven't
now.
tried it yet. I know that these were selling for like a few $100s on eBay there
Wow.
briefly, although I think I signed some papers that would prevent me from selling this for profit. So I'm going to go ahead
Chug it,
and
chug
take
it, chug it.
Yeah.
my first try here.
Is it a
You're
glass
supposed to be
bottle
holding
or
Yeah,
is it
that's what I want to
plastic?
know. Like,
You gotta.
describe the
Can you tell us about the
packaging.
packaging first, you guys? Glass, plastic, heavy, light, Mexicoke. What?
It is in plastic, and it came. I assume we got the same thing, Amanda. It came in like kind of a clear crystal plastic tube thing to make it look a little more dramatic.
Isn't that what it pops up out of in the first?
Oh wait,
Yeah,
movie?
and
I do have this.
Yeah.
This is the box it came in.
Ooh.
So good.
That is
Fancy.
awesome.
That is really cool.
I think
So-
we might have just done the first unboxing of Pepsi Perfect.
Yeah, we should have planned that better, Eric.
Yeah, no kidding. So one thing about this, I guess I've never paid that much attention to the nutritional value of the other Pepsi products. But this thing has 56 grams of sugar in it.
Oh,
Well, that's what makes it perfect.
Yeah, right.
Wait, so isn't that
yeah, I guess,
isn't that just like the glass Pepsis,
I would imagine
right?
so. Yeah.
Isn't
The
that
Mexico
similar?
ones?
Somebody look that up.
I'm on it.
Yeah,
It's
the
just sugar.
Mexipepsis and
Or
the
is it just 'cause
Mexicokes.
it's a bigger
Oh well, yeah.
size?
It's not like high fructose corn syrup, is it? Is it like real sugar?
No, I would have guessed it's real sugar.
yeah,
real
it's,
sugar.
well, it doesn't say cane sugar, but this says,
Oh.
so yeah, 210
beet
calories
sugar.
per bottle, 56 grams of sugar. This is what the future
How many
tastes
ounces
like.
is it?
210
How many
calories.
This is what the future tastes like.
Wow.
How many ounces is it?
This is 16 ounces.
Oh wow.
So it's kind of a big one,
Huh.
but it's half a liter.
Yeah.
When you say it like that, it sounds way bigger than 16 ounces. That's half a liter. I'm gonna have half a liter of Pepsi right now.
See, the metric
By
system
the way, it
makes
takes-
sound so
A few
fancy.
tablespoons of sugar.
It tastes like Pepsi. What did you think, Amanda?
Oh yeah, no, it tastes like Pepsi. It's got the real sugar though, so it's not the corn syrup version, which is nice, I
It is
guess.
awesome.
It's funny. I don't think I've had a Pepsi in probably 25 years, and but it's distinctive. It's like tastes like a Pepsi. Yep.
Funny.
But it's a nice little packaging. It's it's kind of cool to hold something that you saw in the film. They did a pretty, I think, a pretty close approximation of how it looks in the movie.
Still looks like a shampoo container.
So I found that a regular, 12-ounce Pepsi is 150 calories, and sugars are 41. So
Ooh.
I guess
So
it
it's
really
about-
is just
about right, I
real
guess.
Pepsi.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a can. So then,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
that's
12.
a 12 ounce.
Yeah, like a can. I think like a typical 20 fluid ounce bottle you would buy has 69 grams of
See,
sugar.
so
my
you're
God.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're sitting in the
Ugh.
you're sitting in the good. It really is just Pepsi. So that's pretty crazy.
So we're taking the same approach to the obesity epidemic here in 2015 as we were in 1980.
Yeah, clearly.
Blase.
yeah.
One
Sure,
thing
why
I should say is we should actually say Happy Back to the Future Day to New Zealand and Australia.
Oh, yeah.
As Melon1168
Congrats.
points out in the YouTube chat room.
They
Today
made
is Back to the
it.
Future Day for New Zealand.
Wow.
Right now.
Don't tell us how it turns out.
What's already happening?
You made it.
Don't run into yourself in New Zealand right now. You'll break the world. So, another thing I thought we should do, Stephen, to kind of move into some of our critiques of how the future turned out, our critique of the present. Luke Westaway over at CNET UK came up with a pretty slick little video with the DeLorean. Do you have that queued up, Stephen?
I got it. Here we go.
Check this out.
Cool.
God, this video is so
So
good.
awesome.
It's 2015, and folks, we're living in the future. But how does the glittering era we currently inhabit compare to our long-held benchmark for technological progress, Back to the Future Part 2? The year 2015, as visited by Marty McFly, got a lot of things right about today's tech, but in other ways, our modern contraptions are way beyond anything we could have imagined back in the 80s. Here are the tech predictions that Back to the Future got right, and what it missed. Let's start with something the movie got right, the rise of the smart home. Marty's future house is absolutely packed with gadgets, from flat-screen TVs used for video calls, to fingerprint scanning door locks and voice control just about everywhere.
It's dangerous to enter without lights on. Lights on? Yes.
In our own 2015, meanwhile, one of the year's biggest trends has been giving our own home appliances a similar high-tech makeover. Our door locks sense our presence, our thermostats can be controlled from anywhere, our lights change colour, our homes can be viewed remotely, while bizarre robots roam our carpets.
Hydrate level 4, please.
Admittedly, modern smart homes still can't cook a pizza in seconds, but there is one more similarity. Both the McFlys and today's tech-enabled household struggle to make voice control work.
Hey, fruit. Fruit, please. Thank you.
Yeah, Siri, where's the fruit?
Let me think about that. Here's what I found on the web for Yes Siri, where's the fruit?
There is one thing missing from Marty's smart home, and it's the biggest problem with the film's vision of the future. Where's the internet? The internet has been, without a doubt, the greatest tech revolution of the last 25 years, offering instant digital communication between devices and putting the sum of human knowledge at our fingertips. But in Marty's 2015, there's no sign that various gadgets are talking to each other. Indeed, there's not even a hint of email, with fax machines still the primary method of communication. Fax is one thing, but when it comes to a technology that's been steadily evolving over the last half a century, Back to the Future proves remarkably prescient. Modern television has come a long way since the medium started gaining traction in the middle of the last century, and Back to the Future saw several changes coming. For one thing, our TVs are flat panels, and they're multifunctional, handling all manner of apps, including video chat. And while we don't tend to watch 6 channels at once, the modern phenomenon of second screen viewing does divide our attention, with IMDb or reactions on Twitter never far from our field of vision. Speaking of those second screens, one thing nobody in the 80s could have anticipated was the role that mobile gadgets would play in our lives. The McFly kids of 2015 might have something resembling Google Glass, but it's not as personal or powerful as a modern smartphone. These goggles are hooked up to a shared telephone line, for goodness sake.
Dad, it's for you.
And speaking of personal tech, where are all the social networks? If Marty Jr. had really wanted to avoid Griff and his gang, he could have just checked his Instagram. Let's talk about entertainment, an area in which Back to the Future made some very solid predictions indeed. Take young Elijah Wood's disgust that 80s gaming involved using your hands, and then consider motion-based advances such as Microsoft's Kinect or the Oculus Rift. And while we're not watching Jaws 19 in Holomax, the modern cinema landscape is dominated by sequels and franchises. Man, the DeLorean is cool. And indeed, Back to the Future did make some great predictions about innovation in the automotive industry. It just didn't quite guess where that innovation was happening. Our future lacks commercially available flying vehicles, but we've got self-driving cars looming on the horizon, and fully electric cars are rapidly gaining traction, which is pretty darn cool. Don't forget that while the DeLorean's time circuits are powered by the trash-consuming Mr. Fusion, the car itself still ran on gasoline. Chalk one up for the non-fictional timeline. So, all things considered, how accurate was Back to the Future? Well, bearing in mind the makers of the movie were probably more concerned with making an entertaining film than playing Nostradamus, a lot of it is pretty spot on. I mean, apart from the hoverboard, of course, which, let's be honest, is the only thing that any of us ever really wanted. Of course, it's always possible that much of the tech that Back to the Future did predict exists precisely because it was in the film, offering humanity a glittering vision of what to aim for. In fact, it's almost as if the film itself was a message sent back from the future to our past selves, creating multiple technological timelines. This is heavy.
This is heavy.
That was awesome. So, you know, one thing, that thing of faxes being so prominent in the future, it's funny, that doesn't just come up in Back to the Future. There was a series of ads that AT&T, you guys ever seen these? They put it out in like 1992.
Oh, yeah, I remember those.
And I've shown these, I've done a couple of talks at high schools about the future, and I show these ads from 92 about like the vision of the future from 20 years ago. And there's a scene where a guy has a wireless fax machine set up next to him on the beach. He's getting faxes on the beach.
Oh, God.
So
we can envision wireless fax machines, but not cell phones. I felt like cell phones.
Well, cell
phones
phones
like
weird,
existed.
right?
They did.
Right?
Zach
That's
Morris
what I
had
don't
one.
understand.
But even prior to the 80s, they were being worked on behind
James
the
Bond had one in
scenes.
his shoe. All right,
Right.
like I don't understand why.
Well,
this
I
is
think
hard.
back then, like the fax machine was such an important development that people thought, like, oh my God, no one's gonna ever give up on this. It's a fantastic medium.
This is gold.
And then 10 years later, people realized they were kind of a pain in the ass, and so they just decided to stop. So.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah, and no cell phones, no internet. In both things, I mean, the internet didn't exist yet, but you know, if you're nerdy enough, like some of us here, I mean, you know, CompuServe and BBS is like this stuff existed. It seems like it should have been easy to see where it was going, especially with cell phones, because you know, people were driving around with big bricks in
And they
1985,
had
1989.
cars. Yeah.
So what, I mean, what do we think? I mean, Luke pretty much broke it down there. Any other thoughts on what the movie gets wrong and right? No cell phones, no internet. What else did they miss?
I think it's really interesting that, and this is seen in the Jetsons and many other examples, that so many people thought in the future that we wouldn't do anything. Everything would be done for
Right.
us. And how much of that has actually shifted because there's more and more people now. I mean, not everyone, but a lot of people want to get back to the roots and do things the traditional way. And so, despite
The
the fact,
artisanal movement.
sure,
Yeah.
like despite the
Yeah.
fact that there are plenty of people who probably want complete automation of their lives, there's still always going to be people who want that hands-on experience. So it's just interesting to think that that argument came up a lot in reviewing the Black and Decker hydrator about like I still want to make a pizza from scratch with like an oven, even if I could have it the other way, I probably wouldn't want to. So
I don't know. I'm pretty excited to have a smart home.
Yeah, but
Even if it takes over, like that Disney movie, Smart House.
that slowly tries to kill you.
Throwback reference. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just that to me is really cool. That sure, maybe automate the stuff that no one really wants to do, like the Roomba. Yeah, I want a Roomba to vacuum for me because I never want to do that myself ever again. But I still want to do things on my own with my own hands.
I want
Yeah,
a
I
thing that
think
does my dishes.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It's called a dishwasher.
No, 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 no. You gotta put the
I
stuff
live in
the
an
dishwasher.
apartment.
Yeah, okay. That's been yeah.
I live
You want
in
like
an
a
apartment.
like a robotic thing that like picks up the dish and like washes it. And...
No, I mean I
Or
want
just
something
like
that
a-
loads the dishwasher, washes it, unloads it for me.
I mean, they just came up with one that folds my laundry.
Yeah.
Like, they also came up with like a thing that's like a washer and a dryer in one.
Yeah. But it won't fold.
Japan,
That-
man, they're
the-
on top of it.
Yeah, seriously, Japan is the
They
future.
don't want to do
Yeah.
anything. I respect that.
Oh, one
Yeah, I
thing
mean, don't
they
you
got
think?
wrong.
Yeah, I think there's the assumption is that we'll make robots that do things the way that do things for us, laundry, dishwasher, whatever. But I mean, isn't it like more likely that what's actually going to evolve are self-washing clothes, like the fabric, like you
Or
press a
self-drying
button or
jackets.
something, like the
Yeah,
self-drying jacket,
like the
that seems
jacket.
more,
Yeah, exactly.
more realistic. I don't know. I think especially people who are futurists or work in creating science fiction, or kind of more, I guess, run in the same circles that we do. We're kind of the minority, and what I mean is that your average person probably has a stronger sense of nostalgia and the past and a connection to the past than their connection to wanting to see technology and innovation advance. Like our bond to the past is actually stronger than our bond to the future, I think, which is why stuff doesn't actually move forward that fast or look that much crazier. And that's why we have like a slow food movement still instead of hydrated pizzas.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I also call shenanigans on that pizza that you see in there. There's no way that you order a half and half pizza and the toppings are that aligned so you can actually see the mark where the halves actually are.
And we found the one who has OCD worse than me.
Just say it.
So I mean, how do we feel about the future that we got, the 2015 that we got, compared to the vision from the movie? Which I wrote about this a little bit a few months ago in a piece for Crave, but it seems to me that the vision of the movie is actually kind of terrifying, in that it's like just a hyperactive version of the 1980s, and everything that was terrible about it turned up to 11.
Yeah.
I'm so much happier to be living in this timeline.
Yeah, I agree.
I was led to believe I would have more hair in 2015 than I actually ended up with.
I don't think anyone really led you to believe that.
Based on the movie?
No, they did. Yeah, because because Doc goes, when he brings Marty back to the future, he makes a big deal of like how he talks about how he went to like a rejuvenation clinic, and so he like pulls off the skin, and he still looks the same.
Oh, yeah.
But I was thinking, by 2015, maybe they could do something about people not having hair.
But it probably costs a lot because Marty actually talks to the guy in front of the Cubbies announcement, and that guy is basically balding.
That's true.
So
That's Roger Rabbit,
it's
too.
probably really pricey.
Which
would
is
make sense.
kind of our future right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not in that way, but there are incredibly expensive cosmetic procedures you can get to make yourself look young
That are completely frivolous.
forever. Yeah, pretty much.
Some of which are completely frivolous.
Speaking of which, Doc Brown. Okay, Doc Brown does not look that much different. Christopher Lloyd does not look that much different. Is that a testament to how well he's aged, or to the great makeup job they did 30 years ago?
Porque no los dos.
Yeah.
It's like when you hit your max
Probably.
level, you just stay the same.
I think I'm content with the future we have, but I think, like you said, the immense advancements haven't really happened, and things are moving both incredibly rapidly, in my opinion, because look at like how far cell phones have come in the last 5 to 10 years, and then yet like the electric car has been around for decades and only ever took off 2 years
Recently,
ago.
yeah.
So it's so interesting to see. I grew up watching the Jetsons, and I was like very firmly believing that like by the time I was 30, which it's totally not going to happen, but by the time I was 30, that was going to be my life, and obviously that's not the case.
Spoiler alert, Sarah and I are the young ones.
Yeah, spoiler alert, but I'm also not that far away from 30, so it's not going to happen anytime soon. But
I don't know. I mean, I think, too, the question is that has all of this focus on Back to the Future Day made us more aware of our shortcomings in this future timeline?
yeah, I think
Has
so.
it made us think more about and shoot for things like
The hoverboard.
the
Yeah.
self-lacing shoes, the self-driving car, getting to that level of automation that we kind of expected to have?
And that stuff's ramped up just recently, because I wonder if
Exactly.
maybe, there's that cog turning in people's brains of, at this point in history, we should have been there, or we were thinking we were going to be
I mean,
there.
I
so
know
let's crank
some of
on
it
that.
is just capitalizing on the marketing opportunity. Like Toyota has had a hydrogen cell car or something like that, right? For
Yeah.
a while in Southeast Asia, and they're only now tomorrow launching or using it as the day to quote unquote launch
Yeah.
in the US and the UK and things like that. Although they have put out some really cool promos for it. It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe it's that. Maybe it's that we're just more aware of it because tomorrow is Back to the Future Day.
Yeah, we're looking at it under a microscope.
Exactly.
Well, and I mean, let's not forget, I'm hosting a show that's broadcast to the world for literally anyone. I mean, people can watch this on their phones in Kenya if they wanted to, and if they had, the right flash plug-in installed. And I'm doing so from my office in a town of 5,000 people in northern New Mexico with you guys in San Francisco. And I mean, like, so the elements of this are in the movie, but like the broad capability and power of like what we're doing, like actually couldn't have been conceived of. So we're not doing too bad. I mean, we have these amazing tools to solve problems. We just still have the same human flaws that prevent us from solving all the problems we have.
Well said.
Well, what do we think about the future from here? I wrote a piece a couple of months ago that talked about, if this movie, if another sequel were released now. So in other words, if we had Back to the Future Part 4, where we go from 2015 to 2045, what does that future look like? You guys have any thoughts about that?
Oh my God. I really hope we've already gone to Mars.
Oh,
like,
hell yeah.
We'll
please,
be on Mars.
please. Can I go?
That's all Sarah wants. Go to Mars.
I've been reading The Martian a lot lately, like I'm obsessed with that future. But oh goodness, I really hope that self-driving cars are fully spread across like at least the United States or most of the developed world. Like I hope that's a concrete thing. And I wonder if it's just going to be a lot of the tech that we have now, but far more better developed and far more widespread. Like I don't know. What do you guys think of? Like what would be the next crazy,
Nano drones.
futuristic?
It's gonna be like insect-sized drones everywhere that you're gonna have to regulate, and people are gonna be scared of.
Ooh.
Like they already are kind of right
But they
now.
also do really cool stuff. Like
Yeah,
they
they do good
would
things that'll help you.
deliver direct
Yeah.
medicine inside of your body to specific targeted cells, or
Yeah.
they would
gonna
help
be
fight
good and bad.
cancer
Yeah.
Yeah.
by utilizing your own immune system.
Nanobots.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
which was it
I've
Michael
been-
Crichton wrote a book about those or somebody?
I don't know. I remember being slightly younger and like I was like trying to come up with a cure for cancer, and like they're finally starting. Like I'm a scientist, they're starting to get the technology that would actually make that work with like nanobots and whatnot. And it's just interesting. Like I don't know. I had a thought there, and then it just kind of disappeared.
So I think
The Michael Crichton book
author
was
you might
called
be-
Prey.
Oh yeah.
It was the book called Prey, is what I was thinking of. November 2002. And it was nanotechnology, and it explored things like artificial life and genetic algorithms. I'm scanning the Wikipedia right now. It's basically like nanoswarms become predators and how that affects our creation of them.
Wow.
See, in Marty McFly's future, you would have had to get that information faxed to you.
Dear God.
So 2045, interestingly, is actually one of the dates that Ray Kurzweil, he's the singularity guy, you know?
Oh yeah.
He works for Google now, and 2045 is one of the dates he targets as when he thinks we'll have hit the technological singularity, which is when one computer is powerful enough to equal the power of like all of human brains. And otherwise, it's like this huge AI frontier. Where
I think it's like when humans just become one with machines, right? Is that
right? I mean, that's
we
part
just-
of it. I mean, part of it, and then another part of it is like the potential. So if you have computers that are basically smarter than all of humanity, like that's so that's such a paradigm shift that it's like pointless to even try and predict. It's like all predictions would like break down after 30 years because I mean, we can't really even conceive of the potential of that. So when I wrote the piece predicting what might happen, I actually didn't focus on anything beyond 2045 because apparently that's pointless. But yeah, I mean, I think that I would see like some kind of a continuation of like kind of the trends we've seen where technology becomes like more mobile and ubiquitous, but at the same time it becomes more invisible. So, you know, in the way that it seems silly that we're talking about faxes versus like mobile devices seems so much easier. You carry it around in your pocket. Why wouldn't you think of that? I mean, I could see a future where in 30 years it seems silly, the concept of mobile devices, because it's in your contact lens. Why would you carry anything around, you know? So I know, Amanda, what do you think? Where are we headed?
Well, I think 2045. I think we'll get a fax machine revival. It'll become the retro cool, slow communication movement. The other thing I'd like to see is for the Cubs to actually win the World Series.
Oh my God.
Okay, Sarah and I were talking a lot about that and how the dates were a little off, right? With
Right,
like,
because-
they said
Because they added
the movie was October 21st.
Right.
But here we're obviously still in the
Championship series.
and we
for
haven't even reached the
baseball.
World Series.
Right.
And would it have even been mathematically possible?
Yeah. But we
Yeah,
weren't
what-
able to come up with like a straight answer because there's at some point
It feels like the
seasons have changed.
was extended, yeah.
Because even I think even like in the early 90s, the World Series didn't really go past the beginning of October.
right?
A good example is it was just recently the anniversary of the 1989 World Series earthquake. This was like 2 or 3
October
days ago.
17th.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
and that was like game
It was last Saturday, and that was
Third
the
game.
third game of
Yeah.
the World Series.
for the Battle of the Bay.
And so we were like, well, yeah, it must
So
have gotten pushed back.
they had already, gone through all these playoffs. We're not even quite done yet.
Yeah.
So
I wonder why. I wonder that might be because there's just more baseball teams
We
now
think
or something.
we
but I'm
yeah,
not
I
sure.
think we figured out it was
Possibly.
probably expansion teams,
Yeah.
and adding to the number of games
Right.
of
Yeah,
a
they-
regular
It's a
season.
wild card game too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wild card.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wild
just,
card game.
just
Good
all
point.
these little changes that have been made.
That push everything back
Right.
and give television more airtime.
yeah.
That's totally what it's all about.
But it's still a possibility.
Dude.
It's
Can you
it's
imagine?
still a possibility for a little while longer.
I feel like Back to the Future fans who don't have a team are now rooting for the Cubs.
Oh yeah,
How
totally.
could you not? If you like baseball, root for the Cubs, you guys. Come on. It's been so long. So many years. I'm not even
Anyway.
a Cubs fan. Anyway,
Crickets.
tangents.
So any final Back to the Future thoughts before we sign off?
No, I just wish they still had the ride at Universal Studios. Do they still have the Back to the Future ride at Universal Studios? No,
I don't think so.
got turned into something else. That's my final thought.
Oh, I would also like to point out that this is what they thought 2015 sunglasses would look like, and I can't even put them on. But yeah, no. It really goes to that.
Jeff
like,
can't even see with them on.
Well, yeah. there's
The
that.
music helps the glass.
It does. It makes it a lot more dramatic.
Yeah.
Doesn't make them any more cool though, unfortunately.
Well, I've got a couple of things coming up that I just wanted to tease. If you're interested in the future, I was at the New World's Space Settlement Conference in Austin over the weekend. So keep an eye out for my coverage of that. There's a lot of really interesting futuristic stuff there: Mars bases, lunar bases, space, solar power. I'll be writing a lot more about that in on Crave, and also for the month of November. Is a National Novel Writing Month, which some of you might be familiar with, NaNoWriMo. And so on Crave, we're going to be attempting to actually crowdsource a science fiction novel for National Novel Writing Month. So details on that are going to be coming up later this week. We're going to attempt to structure it so that we'll have like a Google Doc or something else online where you can actually help me write a science fiction novel in a month. So, and then it is set in the future, obviously. So, keep an eye out for that. What else are you guys working on for CNET and for Crave that has to do with the future and in the future?
Well, Sarah and I just have the little mini reviews tomorrow, but I know that most of CNET has a whole slew of awesome, fun, social, inventive, kind of like fun little things planned for tomorrow, so I definitely check back on the site.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of content. There already is a lot, but just prepare.
I think it's
for
one of those
be
great
more.
geeky things that we all had a lot of fun coming up with ideas for.
Awesome. Amanda, anything else coming from you?
Well, just go Cubbies, really. I'll be watching the game.
All right, great. Well, we're wishing everyone a happy Back to the Future day. Keep an eye out for a strange kid wearing a vest like this, and maybe a wacky old man running around your town. There is no real Hill Valley, but any town could really be Hill Valley when you think about it. So that's the CraveCast for today. Happy Back to the Future day. If you're in New Zealand and the rest of you, get ready for tomorrow. For Sarah Mitroff, Caitlin Petrakovitz, Amanda Kuzer, and Stephen Beecham, I'm Eric. And Jeff Sparkman!
Don't forget!
Oh, man. I'm Eric Mack, and we will catch you next time.